Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series. I am thrilled today to have Miss Maddie Sells here with me. Maddie is the social media manager for Overtime, but she's also talent at Overtime. And so I am so excited to have Maddie here and pick her mind and everything she does, but also how she got into sports and all the things she loves about sports. So, Maddie, thank you for joining me today.
Happy to be here.
All the way from New York. We are excited. I first do just want to start with one, your love for sports. Were you playing sports when you were younger? What got you attracted to being in the world of sports?
Yeah, I started playing basketball when I was 10 up until high school because I realized I was a lot better at watching than I was playing. I realized I didn't have like handles at all, but
Uh,
had a good shot. So you can catch me playing pig and horse still. But dribbling, not so much.
okay.
My dad is the one who really got me into basketball. My dad and my brother. My dad played at IU, which is where I went to school, and I grew up going to a lot of IU basketball games. And then my brother also played basketball in college. And so just growing up, I always had that connection with them of loving basketball and loving LeBron James.
Good.
So as you can see
There you
here,
go. I was just gonna say, I see the name, I see the top of his head on your
yeah,
shirt right there.
yeah. So I've been like LeBron, my dad and brother, and my nephew, they all are the reason I love basketball as much as I do today.
Okay, so you've got your love for basketball, and I love that you're very honest with yourself that you're better watching.
Yes, way better.
It's good that you have that realization because I think a lot of people don't.
I probably could have played a few more years, but the landscape of women's basketball as we know it has
Oh
grown
gosh, yeah.
insanely. Back when I was playing it, it wasn't as regarded as it is today. And like it was one, I wasn't that good. Two, I was like, I don't know how much I can do with this. And I do wish I played for a little bit longer, but I think it's okay that I tapped out when I did.
Nice. Now you've got your inspirations and the people who have kind of continued your love for basketball, but what was your I'm gonna work in sports moment? Like I want to work in sports.
So in high school, I was talking to a friend at lunch, and she was telling me how her brother was working for the Indiana Pacers. And I was like, I didn't even think that you could work for sports teams. Like, why did that never appear in my brain? And I was like, oh, I literally had no idea what I wanted to do at all. I liked math. I was good at math. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do statistics in college, like
Ooh.
whatever. Yeah, so I when I went to IU, I was a statistics major, and this was my other moment when I was like, okay, this is what I should do to get into sports. I was sitting in my accounting class and I heard these two of my classmates talking about IU's sport marketing program.
Okay.
And I was like, what? Like, I didn't even know it was a thing. No one had told me.
Yeah.
They didn't mention it on the campus tour. Like, I had no idea. And then I heard these two people are like, yeah, I'm majoring in sports marketing. Like, I want to work for a team, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I need to find out more about this. So I looked it up, and then spent the summer doing some classes to like try to catch up to that major. And I was like, okay, I really, really want to do this. Got an internship my sophomore year and just kind of kept going.
Kept going. Now, I want to jump right into how you got to be at Overtime. And I was reading about the story of how Overtime came to know of you and
Hmm.
how you got your job. Can you share that story with everybody?
Yeah, it's kind of wild. I did a bunch of different internships and like jobs, but the way they found me was I had started this basketball page where I just posted like a bunch of funny NBA videos, basketball videos with my friend. And we did that in 2020 when TikTok was kind of like just
Taking
I mean,
off.
it was like 2020, 2021, so TikTok was like start gone as boom,
Yep.
and like anyone could go viral really. And I made this video where I was like talking about how I met LaMelo Ball behind me in line at McDonald's, and did it with like some trending audio, and I posted that like three different times, like with different audios, just me being like, yeah, I met LaMelo Ball at McDonald's. And then this time when I did it, it blew up, and someone at Overtime saw it and posted it on Overtime, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Oh my gosh, like no one's ever posted me before. I was freaking out. And so I like messaged a whole bunch of people, and because I was like, okay, I was gonna go and do my master's in sports marketing because I was like, COVID just hit. There's no shot I get a job in sports.
Yeah.
So I reached out to a bunch of different people at Overtime, and then finally Tom reached out to me and was like, "Hey, would love to get on a call with you guys." And so I talked to him for like probably like a 3 month long process, and then I finally got hired. So they found me on TikTok.
That's crazy. Now, when you were thinking about, getting into sports marketing, was social media what you wanted to do all along, or was there a different aspect of sports marketing that you wanted to do?
Yeah, I wasn't really sure of what I wanted to do, but when I was like a freshman in college, before when I was in high school, I was following this like big Heat fan page that I really liked following, and I like built a relationship with the people behind the account. And so freshman year of college, I told one of the people that I wanted to like help go into sports
Yeah.
marketing. He's like, do you want to help me run this page to like help get some experience? And I was like, for sure.
Cool.
So I helped run that as just a side thing where I wasn't making any money, and I really, really like doing it. So I was like, if I like doing this for free, probably want to get paid to do it later. And yeah, now that guy works at ESPN, is doing great. Pretty sick.
I love that. At the same time you started doing social media at Overtime, was that the same time you started being a talent there as well?
So
Okay.
I got hired as a social media coordinator and talent. At first, I wasn't doing too much talent related stuff. I was doing some like one-off videos every once in a while, just like it took a while for me to start getting posted on Overtime. And then finally, a few months in, one of the people high up at Overtime convinced me to do a podcast, and I was so scared to be on camera because I'd never like done anything on camera really. And it took a while to get used to, but after you record like 5 times, you start being like, okay, I can do this. I still get nervous, but yeah.
Yeah. And now you do have your TikTok podcast. You've got your basketball burner, and you get to talk to some pretty incredible people. Is that the same podcast you're referring to, or is this something that afterwards you were like, I love this?
This is the same one.
Okay.
So yeah, we started that page in 2021, went through like two different names, got different co-host guests, a lot of different things, but yeah, that's the same page, Burner Show.
How do you come up with concepts? Like, are you focusing around, you were talking about like media days. Are you focusing around media days and events like that? How do you formulate your show?
It's really a lot of different things. A lot of the times it's just stuff that I want to talk about. I
Okay.
see online and I'm like, people need to talk about this, or like if I'm mad about something someday, I'm like, all right, I want to get in the studio. Like I made a video about how it makes me so mad that guys get upset when girls can dunk. Like all the comments when a girl dunks are so negative and just gross. And so I went out, I'm like, okay, I'm recording a video about this today because I'm sick of it. And of course, like it got like 2,000 comments of people being like, shut up, woman. Like, okay, whatever. So a lot of times it's just stuff that either like I'm watching the NBA, I catch something, or I'm on my feed, I catch something. And then with like athlete interviews, I'll like either have one scheduled or I'll set one up myself.
Okay.
Um, and I come up with topics on my own.
Now, I want to get into you've grown and helped run Overtime's TikTok, 27 million plus followers, which is
Yeah.
incredible. And I just want to get into from your social media perspective, like what are some of the key strategies and things that you have done to help grow this Overtime TikTok account and that audience?
Yeah, so we've kind of switched around our strategies over the years. And at first we were posting a lot more curated content,
Okay.
and that's just like viral videos, and stuff that I would like dig to find and
Yep.
other people over time would help me find. But we've mainly started focusing on original content now. So we we do a few different things. We'll play games with athletes. We'll do this thing we call lunchbox, which is where we have like some of our talent go to schools and like they like debate kids and so it's funny, but so we do that, and then we have like an outdoor game show that we just started to whole bunch of different things, and now we're really focusing on that and trying to build our audience through that because for a while it's just been like, oh, people follow Overtime for the viral videos on TikTok, but now we're mainly focusing on original content.
Now, with these original content, like I want to say, like all these different segments that you were just talking about, are you guys constantly in production having to film all these different things? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so a lot of times in the office we'll just be like brainstorming different things, and if one of us is like, this sounds like a really good idea, we'll go out and try it. Like we're all about just like trying new things and like seeing what hits and what doesn't, and I kind of like analyze what does well and what doesn't do as well, and figure out from there what we should do. A lot of the stuff we do doesn't require an insane amount of production. Like we want it to be easy and quick and just like hit and do numbers. And that's our main strategy.
I love that's the beautiful part about social media too, I think is what you were saying is you go out, you can constantly test. You're testing every single day to see what's working, what people are driving with. So you can easily pivot and change things. But that's the beautiful part about social media because it's very fast and you have the ability to make those changes.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's a lot of guessing. Like you don't know. You genuinely never know what's going to do well. I can work for hours on a video and it'll do terrible, or I can do 5 minutes on a video and it gets a million views. I don't, it's crazy.
You see it all the time. People are talking about it, making videos on TikTok. They're like, you work 20 hours on a video and it gets 5 likes. And you're like, that's the reality of social media these days. There are so many voices and so many people trying to get out there that it is so hard sometimes to get your voice to be the loudest.
Exactly, and that's a big reason why we do these like not low production, but like
Yeah.
quicker, easier production videos so that we don't spend so much time on something that won't do as well.
Yes, absolutely. You were talking about you guys are sitting in the office and you're brainstorming ideas. What does that kind of look like? Are there some people that are just like, let's shoot for the stars here and here's a crazy idea and they're like, now let's come back to earth a little bit? What is that fresh and innovative ideas that are coming out of there look like?
So I sit at a table with our social team, and people come in and out of the office like whenever they can. A lot of us are on shoots a lot of the time, so we aren't able to go in the office. So it's a mix of people. But basically, whenever someone needs an idea, we'll talk about it. We'll yap for a bit. Some of the ideas will be terrible that we come up with. Some of them will be really good. And then we'll get projects that like, oh, we have a really big budget for this. Let's think really, really big. And so it's kind of it varies.
Okay. When you have a larger team, a social media team, instead of it just being one person, what does that mean that you are able to do more platform wise, just being able to brainstorm ideas? Like, what is that? How is that better?
Yeah, it's so much better. I Overtime has a bunch of different like pages of its own. Trying to remember the right word for it because we call it something, not pages. They're whatever. We have a bunch of different pages on different platforms, and that includes like Overtime Boxing, Overtime Season, Overtime 7, our 7-on-7 league. OTE, WBB, Overtime Select. Like we have a insane amount of pages that focus on different things. Overtime FC, like we have soccer pages, women's basketball, men's basketball, like everything.
Yeah.
And having so many people that like know certain areas so well is so helpful because you get a ton of different ideas and you can collaborate a lot and we like collaborate literally on like pages. We'll do collabs with OTE and Overtime, collabs with Overtime Select and Overtime WBB. Like so whenever you see on Instagram
Yeah.
the account, it
Yeah.
just helps boost videos. And so I also and forgot to mention this too. I produce flau'jae's podcast now.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times we'll collab with like WBB or she interviewed a select player, so we'd collab with select. And I can kind of reach out to other
Yeah.
teams and be like, hey, we have a Slack player. Like, what does she like? Like, do we have a document on her that I can look through? And so it's nice having a lot of people.
Nice. Do you like having the host hat on more or the producer hat on more?
It's tough. I go back and forth. It like I really like producing flau'jae. She's awesome and like she's everything that I would have looked up to as a kid. And so it's really cool to be able to like help her build her platform. But I like interviewing athletes. I like being able to say I interviewed like my favorite players growing up. Um, but it's tough. I don't know. I go back and forth because some days I'm like really anxious and I'm like, I don't want to talk to people. And so I'm like a lot better just being behind the screen. But other times I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
let's go. We're interviewing Jimmy Butler today. I'm ready.
I would be literally about to shit my pants if
I, yeah, I've been there.
when we from a math perspective from you as well, you might love this question. In terms of it being in the social media role, I love data. I love looking at metrics and data. How does metrics and data feed into what you do on a daily basis and the content that you guys are producing?
A lot. It's just mainly looking at the views is what really matters. Like figuring out what people want to see from us is
Yeah.
so important. And like obviously I look at the comments for feedback and just see how we can improve every day. But yeah, I keep track of the numbers. I'm always looking to see how we can improve. I look how to see like how I can improve on my pages, how flau'jae can improve, just looking at the numbers and basing that on how we want to do the videos.
Okay. It's so curious to me. Every platform is different. So I'm always, when people come and ask me, what metrics should we be really focusing on? I give the basic answer of engagements because it's one where I'm like, it's the easiest thing across all platforms to look at because not all platforms have the same metrics that they're being tracked. So it's so difficult to walk in and have a metrics and data conversation with people when they want consistency and all the metrics to be the same.
Yep, real tough.
Yeah,
And it's
it's
gonna vary regardless.
yeah. It's the teaching portion of my job where I'm like, I need y'all just to listen for 5 seconds and not try to be the loudest voice in the room.
Yeah, yeah.
How has your role at Overtime helped you grow professionally and personally?
That's a good question. Um, Personally, I've gained a lot more confidence with like myself and being on camera and like knowing my ideas are good and can do well. Um, Professionally, I've built my network up quite a bit. I've met some really, really cool people with amazing ideas, really cool people who do have done really cool things. I've talked to a lot of people that I'd never thought I'd be able to talk to before. Like Mello, D Wade, like even like there's just a huge amount of people that when I sit and think about it, it makes me nervous.
Yeah.
So I've grown a lot in both regards. Personally, I've learned a lot for sure. and
Okay.
I've grown a lot because this was my first ever job, and I've been doing it for 3 years now, so it's
You
a
love it.
lot, a lot of time.
Is LeBron still at the very top of that list?
And I still haven't talked to him, so
The day that'll happen, I'm gonna be thinking, I'm gonna be like, Maddie is going through a bunch of emotions right now.
that would be correct.
When you were talking about it, you were when you were trying to figure out what you were doing before you even knew you could work for a sports team. There were a bunch of people that you were talking to. Now, if somebody was to come up to you and ask you, what is the kind of thing to help them break into social media management or even just the sports industry in general, what are some things that you would tell people today?
My biggest thing that I like to tell people is to take every opportunity you can. I tried a whole bunch of different things to figure out what I really liked. I went from doing an unpaid internship my sophomore year, building connections there to end up interning for the Indianapolis Colts, and then worked for my college in their athletic department, doing ticket sales and then running those like Heat fan accounts on the side and working with different like Heat news networks and just making sure you don't worry about like embarrassing yourself, I guess. Like I started a basketball page, and I was kind of like, oh, people are gonna see this, I'm gonna be embarrassed, I'm gonna name this something that people won't be able to find, not gonna post about it. But then that page is the thing that ended up getting me my job, and like it's what Overtime saw in me and was interested in. Um, so it's just like if you think of something that you're passionate about that you want to continue doing, don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be worried about if your friends are gonna find it and make fun of you. Like, who cares? It's
Yeah.
do what you want to do what you love, and try a whole bunch of different things to figure out what you really want to do.
My friends and family are probably so sick and tired of hearing me talk about this podcast, but I'm like, I love this so much and I'm not going to
Yeah,
shut up about it. So I love that you said that because I think when you're so passionate about something, I always tell everybody, I'm like, you can't sleep without getting the idea out of your head. It's one of those things
exactly.
that you love it so much that it won't leave you until you finally bring it to life in a way.
Right. Like anytime I'm gonna interview an athlete, I'm staying up the whole night. I'm getting barely any sleep. I'm waking up early. I'm freaking out, getting all my nerves out and
Giggles.
just yes, and like making sure I'm as prepared as possible, because I want it to go really well. And then I'm gonna edit for hours and
When you are getting to something like these media days, what kind of prep goes into this? I love getting to ask this question for to people and reporters who are going to this, but from a perspective of yours, what does that prep look like?
a lot of the times when I get invited to events, I don't find out until like
The
2 days before sometimes. Sometimes it'll be a day before, and I'm like, guys,
Thanks for the heads up.
right? Like I can't think that quick. This media day, I've had a lot more time to prepare because I was told a while ago that I would probably be getting invited back since I went last year. But the year before, I found out I don't know how many days before, but I was like, all right, I gotta come up with questions for every freaking player on this team. And this time around, I've had more time. I like last night I stayed up till like midnight, just so not too late, but I stayed up just coming up with questions for different players, and I think I'm gonna like separate players by like two each per night and dive in researching hard. I already know a lot about them because I'm obsessed with the Heat.
Love
So
it.
that helps, but like I'll just like go through I don't want to give away all my secrets. I do a lot of research, okay? And I just think of like games, creative things that I know they'll like. I like finding out their interests, so that they can be happy when I talk to them. Don't ever want to ruffle any feathers, so I stay away from anything controversial. Um, but yeah, we'll see. I really want to talk to Bam about you can guess what I want to talk to him about. But we're gonna see if he's ready to talk about that or not.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I think this time around, last year I sent in my questions for approval beforehand, but so this year I'm gonna send them in. Got to be bold too in the
I'm so
first one.
curious.
Be bold, see what they're okay with.
I love that. I love that you were so into research too, because I like when I have a guest coming on, I call it I go down the rabbit hole. I
Yep,
I am Googling everybody's name. I am on social media platforms. I'm watching every single thing possible.
yep.
Try to see if anything is sparked, anything that I can ask questions about. I love the rabbit holes that I go down, but
Hmm.
all, at the same time, I'm like, I gotta go to bed. I gotta
Yep.
get some sleep.
Yep. Last night I was getting so tired. I was like, I can't do it anymore. But usually my best ideas come up at night too. Like almost every single time I come up with my best stuff at night. So then I'm up all freaking night.
Everybody's like, why are you up till 2 o'clock in the morning? I'm like, I couldn't stop. I was like, I
Mhm.
literally couldn't stop. The
Yeah,
flow
one thing that happens
was
to
going
me,
out.
exactly. One thing that happens to me a lot is I'll be asleep and then I'll come up with an idea. And then I
Yes.
wake up and I have to write it. And I'll go back to sleep. I'll come up with another idea.
My sister used to live with me and she used to be like, why do you have a notepad beside your bed? I'm like, when 3 a.m. hits and you get an idea, it sometimes just needs to get out of your head. So you
Exactly. And it's always 3 a.m. too. It's either 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. And I feel so bad for my boyfriend.
so sorry, honey, go back to sleep. I'll be done in
Literally,
just a
I'm
second.
like, I'm so sorry. I just had a really good idea. And yeah, every night.
It's sometimes it happens. It really does. And like some people's creative time is 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, my eyes are still shut.
Yep.
See you in an hour. But like nighttime is just where it is for me. For it's
Hmm.
where it happens.
And I'm very thankful that we start our days at like 10:30 at overtime because if we didn't, I can barely function as it is.
Yeah.
If we did that now, I like any time earlier, I would not be able to function.
I want to do a little foreshadowing and looking in the future as you've been working in social media, especially in the context of sports and entertainment. How do you see kind of social media forming and changing in this industry in the next few years?
Yeah, I mean, it's constantly changing. Like we see new apps coming, we see new concepts, new ideas introduced every single day. Um, the platforms kind of like I wouldn't say they pick and choose what to promote, but you can get like kind of an idea of what's being pushed. And right now they're really pushing storytelling. Like it's so obvious. It's just telling stories. And I feel like we're going to continue to see people like telling people's stories, telling their own stories. And it's just going to keep going like that for a while. And that's something I try to focus on. I like telling athletes stories. Um, and I try to do that in most of my videos. But there's literally no way of knowing where social media is gonna go. Like TikTok wasn't a thing like 5 years ago, and now it's our entire life.
And
So,
we freak out at the littlest word that it is going to be banned.
yep.
Go away.
If it's banned, I don't know what I'm gonna do, to be honest. I'm gonna be Instagram.
Maddie's job is going to be in trouble, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot get rid of TikTok.
No,
But
sometimes I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I do. I genuinely don't know. TikTok
is
is
that your
my
most
baby.
used platform? Yeah.
That and Twitter and Instagram. I use all of them.
It's just across the board.
Yeah, but I'd say TikTok has the most hours for sure, especially since I run a TikTok.
Yeah. I go back and forth between my personal and then the podcast TikTok, and I'm like, Between both, I'm like, there's a lot.
Girl, I have like maybe 7 TikTok accounts on my phone.
Holy shit.
It's
Oh my gosh.
a lot.
That would bring me a little bit of anxiety sometimes, I think.
It's a lot.
That is a lot. I think if I opened my TikTok until 7, I'd be like, who gave me control of all of these?
It's a lot, you know, but
You
we're
do it.
doing
You do it every day. Applause to you.
grinding.
Applause to you, Maddie, for doing that every single day. Doing the God's work there. I do want to just ask has there been something unexpected that you've learned or experienced while you've been managing social media over time?
Something unexpected. I think that's a really good question. Um, just like, mm, I might need to come back to this. I'm thinking, what is unexpected? Uh, I guess just how like there's no way of knowing if something's really gonna do well or not. Genuinely, there's no way to know. You can guess.
It's a shot in the dark.
Yeah. You can get ideas of what you think is gonna do well.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's gonna do well.
Has there been something that's done well that you were like, holy shit, I didn't actually think that would do well?
Yes, I did a video with my boss where we were just sitting in our podcast studio, and I talked about how LiAngelo Ball was naming his baby Lavello Ball, and it got 7 million views. And we literally like I barely we talked for like 5 minutes about this, and it was so stupid, and it got 7 million views, and I was like, "Are you like I did nothing to prepare for this." And it has like it's one of my most viewed videos.
We're talking about a child's name.
Yes. Yeah. That's one of my pinned videos, so you can look at it after
At
if you
the
want.
very top of her TikTok. It's right there.
Yep.
It'll be her socials are linked down below. It's right there. You guys can go check her out.
Let
Um,
me pull it up because I think it's 7 million, either that or 6 million, and I was just like, you
probably
have to be kidding. 6.9 million. It was very close.
close. Let's get Maddie to 7. Get her to 7 million. I love
That was crazy. But there have been a lot more times where it's like a video I tried really hard on that I'm like, this better freaking do well, or I'm gonna be so mad. Yeah.
it. If not, I'm clicking out of my TikTok. No kidding.
Mhm. I can log out.
I'm logging out. Peace out, guys. Maddie, my last question for you is just what continues to drive your passion for everything you do every day?
I would say just knowing that there are a lot of young girls looking up to me. Sometimes I forget about that and I'll be like really hard on myself, and then I'll get a message that's like, "Hey, like I really want to do stuff that you're doing when I'm older. Like I love your videos. I love just like knowing there's a woman in sports who's like interviewing these athletes and like working in the NBA, working with like tons of cool people, and I'm like, oh yeah, I am doing that. Like I am doing something that I really wanted to do as a kid, and I know that if I were a kid I would be like, oh my gosh, I want to do what this girl is doing. So it's mainly just knowing that younger girls are looking up to me.
All right, edit. Now, this is my last question. If you were to go back and say something to younger Maddie, what would you say to younger Maddie?
That's a good question.
Shooting hoops in high school.
Keep playing basketball a little bit. No, I would say don't let the boys at school make you feel bad about being obsessed with the Miami Heat, okay? Because I got made fun of all the time. I was
Love
making,
it.
like in my art class, I made a little ceramic Miami Heat thing that my mom found recently, and I got made fun of like crazy for making that. So just ignore outside noise. You're
Keep
gonna end
going.
up. where you want to.
Keep going, keep doing it.
Hmm.
Love it. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Maddie Sells, thank you so much for being with me today and sharing your world with me and letting me dip my toe and into everything that you're doing. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Danielle. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
my pleasure. You guys, I'm going to have all of Maddie's socials linked down below, Overtime's accounts, all of it. Please go give them a follow, give Maddie a follow, and keep up with everything she's doing every day. Maddie, I can't wait to see how this media day turns out and how this event. I can't wait to see all the questions that you get to
Week from today, so it'll be out soon.
start the calendars.
Yes.
But you guys, just thank you for stopping by and joining, and I will see you guys back here next time. Bye, y'all.